Good morning, Bitcoin Cash developer community. This video is targeted at the developer community within the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. I'm going to give away 5 $100 credits to a new REST API prototype that I've just launched. And I want to reach out to developers and help them with their projects, help them better understand the challenges with working with the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem, and just understand their projects and help them reach success with it. Let me give you a little bit of background on myself and this giveaway that I'm going to do. So my name's Chris Troutner, and I work for Bitcoin.com. I also have worked on the developer.bitcoin.com website for the last year with Gabriel Cardona. I helped usher in the implementation of SLP tokens. So I helped with the launch of Badger Wallet. I helped with the launch of SLP SDK, and I work on a lot of the back-end infrastructure that happens under the hood whenever anybody works with SLP tokens and anything to do with rest.bitcoin.com. So this is kind of a call to the developer community. I am currently hashing out different ideas with my team at Bitcoin.com on how to create a pay-to-play REST API. And if you want to see this prototype, it's at api.bchjs.cache. Now this video builds on 2 previous videos, so if you're not aware of them, you might want to pause here and go and check those out. Those live over, if you go to YouTube, you can find my account, which is Chris Troutner, one word. And it builds on this video, Earn Bitcoin Cash from a REST API, and this video that I published last week on how to become a Bitcoin Cash stack developer. And this video in particular builds on this article that I published to my website. So that's at troutsblog.com. And so if you go to troutsblog.com, you can find that article by going to the research section, clicking on this drop down for Bitcoin Cash, and go to the article, How to Become a Full Stack Bitcoin Cash Developer. So this video builds on those two videos. The first one about creating REST APIs, I talk about how developers how there's a crying need to create REST APIs, how important REST APIs are in terms of running the internet, and how there's a crying need for more REST APIs in the Bitcoin Cash space, and how developers can profit from running REST APIs and charging for access to them. And that's largely what I'm talking about today. That's what api.bchjs.cache is. It's all open source. All the code's available, so anybody who wants to understand it, copy it, implement it in their own service, and start making money from it, everything is available to you. And then this article that I published last weekend, the video and article, really just zooms out and talks about the entire software stack. So if you're an experienced software developer, you'll probably have heard the term full stack or understand the concept of a stack of software. So this is really like the 3rd video in this series. Now I've taken all these ideas, I've implemented it, and it's in a state where people can play with it. It's still a prototype. So what I'm going to do today is walk through how to interact with this new service, how to sign up, and how to contact me. First of all, if you want to contact me, the best place is the Telegram channel. And I'm going to show you how to get to it, but really quickly, you can go to api.bchjs.cache, and most of what I'm going to talk about in this video is linked on this page. And one second. So the best place to communicate if you want to apply for one of these $100 credits is to go to the community Telegram channel. So go to api.bchjs.cache, and then in this quick links at the bottom is this community Telegram channel. That will take you to the channel where we discuss this tool And I would like, this is what the best place to get to know me, and I'd like to get to know your project, and how I can help you be successful in building an application on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. You can also reach me at let me just go down here. You can also reach me at trout@bitcoin.com. That's my email if Telegram doesn't work well for you. And if you want to send me an encrypted email, you can find my public encryption key in, I think it's the MIT hosted, but the normal channels for retrieving someone's public encryption key for email, I have my public encryption key there. You can also follow me on Twitter at Chris Troutner. So these are all different ways to follow me if you're interested in getting a free credit, $100 credit, at api.bchjs.cash. So let me give a walkthrough on the basics of using the BCH tool, which is a fork of Bitbox, and BCH API is a fork of rest.bitcoin.com. And just to further emphasize, like, this is a prototype, and this pay-to-play scheme is something that I'm exploring with my team on the future of direction for rest.bitcoin.com. And that's why I want to reach out to the developer community, help them build apps, understand their needs, and try and find the best path forward for the entire community. So this, if you're not a developer and you're not interested in the examples that I'm about to walk through, you can stop watching now. If you are a developer, particularly if you're a JavaScript developer, I'm going to spend the rest of this video walking through the Bitcoin Cash, the BCH.js JavaScript library, show how it interacts with api.bchjs.cache. And what I'm going to do in this demo is create some SLP tokens and then send them to my Badger wallet. So in order to start from a fresh place, just like everybody else would who's watching this, I have a virtual machine running here, which is a brand new Ubuntu Linux machine. And I have logged into it here at TroutVB, and the only things I have installed is Node and NPM. And so you can see the versions I'm running right there. I'm going to create a directory called work. That's generally how I start. And so another thing to keep in mind before I jump into this demo is this is open source. So not everything's going to run smooth. We're developers. We're used to that. We should be used to that. And this is as much about community as it is about code. So if you have problems or you run into issues, that's what the Telegram channel's for. It's not tech support, it's community support. So if you are rude, don't expect people to help you. And if you're confused, so is everybody. This is a moving target, and we're all trying to figure it out together. So bring your questions to the Telegram channel, and we'll all work through it together. So what I'm going to do in this demo is I'm going to show how to install the BCH.js JavaScript library. I'm going to create a new Bitcoin Cash wallet. I'm going to fund that wallet from my Badger wallet, which is the mobile version on my Android phone. And I'm going to check the balance to verify that the Bitcoin Cash arrived in my new wallet. Then I'm going to create a new token. And then I'm going to send the token to my Badger wallet. So then it's on my mobile phone, and now I have this new token, and I can pass them around to show appreciation. You know, it's important to keep in mind that new tokens have no value. They have no inherent value. So they're only valuable if you use them in a way that injects value into them. But tokens are the new hot thing, so if you're watching this, you probably have a pretty good idea of how you want to use tokens, and you're probably just figuring out how to create tokens. So that, hopefully this example will help those kinds of people. All right, so let's jump into this. I need to install BCH.js. So if I go to BCH API, there is a link to the NPM library. but I am going to go to the code examples, and those live here. So if you click on this link, BCH, so api.bchjs.cache, go down to the BCH.js section, click on the link for examples. That'll take you to this repository. So the examples live external to the repo for the library, just to keep in mind. And there's a great README here that you can read to get basically everything I'm going to present in this video. And the first examples you'd want to run is create a wallet, fund it, check the balance, and then send some BCH. That's a great place to start. That does not involve tokens. I'm going to fast forward and jump right into the tokens section. So if you go to the applications, there's this SL. So all the examples that were in the README go to this wallet folder. I'm going to jump into the examples in this SLP folder. And again, if you go here, there's another README kind of walking you through everything. But I'm going to start by cloning this example repository. So git clone. There we go. And then I'm going to npm install my dependencies. And the only dependency here is BCH.js, the JavaScript library, which by default will call api.bchjs.cache. Oh, looks like I need to fix a common bug. Just a permissions error from when I set up the server. You probably shouldn't have that issue. Yeah, that's good. Fixed it. Not getting the same errors. So I'll just let that install real quickly. Okay, so the BCH.js library is installed. So I'm going to go into that SLP folder like I showed, and each of these directories contain like a little app, like a little standalone app. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Bitcoin Cash wallet. So if I run npm start in this directory, it's going to generate a new wallet on the 245 derivation, which is the official derivation for SLP tokens, and helps people not burn tokens. And the important file here is this wallet.json file. That's what all the other examples I'm going to run from here on out are going to use. This is my wallet. It's got this 12-word mnemonic. This is the most important thing. This is essentially your private key. And then this is your Bitcoin Cash address. This is the Simple Ledger SLP token version of that address. And then just for reference, here is the legacy address. So let's start by going to the block explorer on bitcoin.com. So if I put in this address that right here, you can see it has no balance, the block, and it has no tokens, it has no transactions, so it's brand new. We just created it, and the block explorer's never seen it before. And so the very first thing you need to do is create a wallet. And the very second thing you need to do is fund that wallet. So if I go to this check balance example, it's going to see that I have a zero balance and no tokens, which reflects what we're seeing in the block explorer. Okay, so now I have a Badger wallet. Let's see if we can get it to show up on the screen here. There we go. Badger wallet. And boy, that's having a hard time here. But hopefully you can see that I have about a little bit less than $15, and I have some tokens. Man, I wish I could get that to show up a little better. Okay, since I can't get Badger Wallet on my mobile phone to show up very good, I just opened up my Badger Wallet browser extension. So this is the exact same wallet. It's just in my browser extension. So you can get both by going to badger.bitcoin.com. And this is just a great tool for working with tokens and Bitcoin Cash in general. So here's my wallet. I've got $16 of Bitcoin Cash in there, and I've got a bunch of tokens that I've previously created. So I'm going to just use this wallet since it's going to work better for this video. Now, I can copy the address here that was output from the check balances, or I can copy the address here from the wallet.json file. They're both the same address. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to send, let's see, 0.0001, so about 2 cents worth of Bitcoin Cash. And okay, great. So that's sent. And now if I refresh that address on the, oh, actually I don't even need to refresh it. It automatically updated. So it already got the 2 cents of Bitcoin Cash, or what is that, 10,000 Satoshis. So now if I run that check balance example again, it's saying that I have an unconfirmed balance of 1,000 Satoshis, or 10,000 Satoshis, and we can continue working with it. We don't need to wait for a confirmation. That's one of the beautiful things about SLP tokens. We can just use unconfirmed transactions. So okay, I created a wallet, I funded it, so I'm going to create a token. And I'm just going to use the defaults here. So I'm just going to run npm start, and that's going to create a token. And if you want to go into this create token JS file with a text editor, you can edit it and set several things. But I just created a token using all the defaults. And again, let's go to the block explorer and check it out. So here's the transactions that created the SLP token. And all this data looks right. I think we're just waiting for the block explorer to update. It can take a few seconds. And for SLPDB to pick up on this, we can also look at it at the SLP token explorer. So looks like it came through. Everything's pending. I think SLPDB is currently digesting this transaction, and that's why it's not showing up in the Explorer yet. It usually only takes a few seconds. While we're waiting for that, we can also go back to the check balance example and run that. See what okay, so it still has not processed the token yet. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and we'll see. Okay, that took about 2 minutes for it to come through and validate. But you can see here at the block explorer, the token data is now filled out. It's called the SLP test token. I gave it a symbol, links to the bchjs.cache. There is 8 decimal places, and I was hoping it would say how many tokens are in existence, but I guess that's not captured here. So if I go back and I run the check balance example, you can see that this address now has 2 transaction histories, and now it contains SLP tokens. Here's the token ID. It has a balance of 10 tokens. That's what I created by default. And again, 8 decimal places. So the token's been created, and now what we can do is send them to the Badger wallet so that we can distribute them to our friends. So I'm in, where am I? I'm in the examples folder. Oh, that's right, and I'm on a different machine, so I can't access it directly with my text editor, unfortunately. So I'm just going to edit it directly on the command line like this. So I'm going to go into the send token example, and let's see, I know the token ID right here, so I'm going to copy that, and I know that there's 10. So I'm going to just edit this this example. Right here on top are all the values that you need to change. So there's the token ID. I'm going to send 10 of them. And if I go back to my Badger wallet, so you can see let me just use a less confusing wallet here. This is what I use for tests. So this second wallet, it's got 21 cents in Bitcoin Cash, and it's got 4 of these tokens. I'm going to click right here and copy my simple ledger address, and I'm going to replace the address in the example with that. And you can see here the example is calling api.bchjs.cache, and if I had changed this to testnet, it would talk to the testnet version. So that should be all the things I changed. So when I run this script, after a few seconds, we should see 10 new tokens pop up in this wallet. Okay, so it succeeded, and let's see. We'll give that a couple seconds to refresh, but we can click on this link and go to the Block Explorer. And okay, so see, it was much faster that time. SLPDB got the transaction and read it, and the Block Explorer updated quickly. And you can see here I sent 10 tokens. And if I run the check balance example again, now I have 3 transactions and I have no tokens. That's what we should expect to see. And now if I go back to my Badger wallet, bam, there it is. There's my test tokens. And so now they're in my wallet. This could just as easily be my mobile phone, or it's this extension. And now I can I could send these if I wanted to create an account on memo.cache, which I do have an account on memo.cache, but I could send these tokens to my memo.cache wallet, and then I could sell them if I convinced somebody to pay Bitcoin or money for these new tokens I just created. I could sell them on memo.cache using their decentralized exchange. But it's important here to emphasize that these tokens are not just for making money. They can be used for voting. They can be used for reward points. They can be used to access like a locked website, or even a locked door if there was a hardware component into it. So that's the power of these tokens. They can do anything. But the point here is that BCH or api.bchjs.cache is this new prototype REST API. And one of the things that we didn't run into in this example are rate limits. So if I run this check balance example over and over really quickly, I'm going to run into the rate limits. Right here, too many requests. Your limits are currently 3 requests per minute, which is fine for running these examples because I could just wait. I could just wait a minute and then I could run it again. If I try and run it immediately, I'm going to get the same error. So I kind of have to let it cool down. And the anonymous, if you just following this and doing the examples like I just showed, you don't need to sign up for an account because there's this 3 requests per minute rate tier. If you to increase the rate limits, you can request an API key by going to account.bchjs.cache. You can add just a very simple. I'm just going to go create an account, and that's going to throw me in here, and you can see that the API token's 0, the credit's 0. I can send some Bitcoin Cash to it if I want, but even without sending any money, I can select the free tier and I can click Get API Token, and that's my new JOT token. And so just by doing that, by just creating an account and not paying any money, I now can use this JOT token to increase my rate limits to 10 per minute. So let's do that. And so the $100 that I want to give away to 5 different developers is a credit for this system. So I want to credit your account with $100, and that will let you get the full indexer package for 5 months, and that will let you have a rate limit of 100 requests per minute using all the features. And so that's what the giveaway is for. But let me show you real quickly how to use this new JOT token. there's a couple different ways, and the steps are captured in, since we're working with BCH.js, then the steps are captured in the BCH.js repository if you go to the README. What I didn't really show in the examples, but what you'll see if you look at the code, is how BCH.js gets instantiated, and then the server that it calls, and then I talk here on how to add your JOT token. You can add it in explicitly when you instantiate BCH.js like this, or you can simply add them to an environment variable. And so that's what I'm going to do, because that way I don't have to change any code. So if I go to this environment variable, BCH.js token, there's nothing there because I haven't set it. So I can export BCH.js token, and I can paste in that JOT token I got, and now I can echo that back out. Okay, so I've set that environment variable, and now if I run this check balances example over and over again, now this, I'm just deliberately trying to trigger these the rate limits here. Oh, it's still saying currently 3. I wonder if, okay, I copied it correctly. Well, so like I said, this is it's open source, and it's example code, and it's a prototype. So I'm not sure why it's not working, and I'm going to look into that. But another way to pass it in, rather than just with the environment variables, is when you instantiate BCH.js, and here, right here, is where we instantiate it. So we can add API, let's see, const JOT token equals, and then paste in that JOT token, and go API token JOT token, like that. So we passed it in when we instantiate BCH.js. So that's another way to do it explicitly. So now let's see if we can trigger it properly. Well, this is why live demos rarely work, because reality is rarely in your favor. But this is also why I'm putting this prototype up, and I want to work with developers, because I want to work out these kinds of bugs. So if you want to help me, let me know. I'll give you a free $100 credit, and I need to sort of work out these bugs in a real life situation, because this is one I haven't seen. So I'll fix this bug in the next day or two, and you know what we should have been seeing is instead of 3, it should have been 10, and then if you pay for an API key, you'll get 100. And so that's the idea. That's how it should work. I need to do a little bit more debugging and figure out why this JOT token thing's not working perfectly.